16th verse spoke about the 4 types of spiritual seekers. They are spiritual because they're seeking the truth, they're seeking the self. They're not interested in the worldly glitter and glamour. They're not running behind the worldly pursuits. Of the 4, he said, Jnani, in the 17th verse, he said, is ever steadfast with single-pointed devotion. I am extremely dear to the Jnani, and he is extremely dear to me. Steadfast is a quality of the intellect. Single-pointed devotion is an attribute of the mind. In any pursuit, when there is an integration of the head and the heart, when there is a marriage between the intellect and the mind, the pursuit becomes wholehearted, wholesome. The pursuit invariably takes you well and truly towards the goal, whatever you are seeking. Therefore, he says, I am extremely dear to the Jnani because he has completely surrendered his entire personality to the pursuit of self. That's what is symbolized when you do Shashtanga Namaskar. You've given your entire personality. So 17 stated that. And the 18th verse, he says, noble indeed are all these. Noble because they all have turned towards the truth, towards the self. But I deem the Jnani as verily myself. Why do I deem him as verily myself? Because of his steadfastness, because of his single-pointed devotion, he would reach the goal. He would become one with the goal. When you have this principle of success, it is just a matter of time you achieving success. So he achieves the goal, but that's why he says, I deem him as verily myself, because once you think of something, the law states you become it. So the law of attachment or law of identification, we've often stated this, is when your thoughts are consumed with something, you become it. And when the Jnani is only interested in the self, in the next few verses, he says, a very rare soul, is very rare to find such a person. Very, very rare. So Jnani is a very difficult person, very difficult to find such a person. Why is it? Because most of them are caught up in the world. Hardly anybody goes beyond the world, conceives the transcendental, and pursues it with Shraddha, without losing his focus, without getting distracted with the temptations. As I've said, only when you spiritually evolve, things will come to you. Only when you renounce the lower, the lower comes to you. When you crave for something, you don't get it. So when you renounce the lower and pick up the higher, the lower comes to you. When they come to you, you should not get distracted. So to have that clear focus, to conceive the goal, and to be determined to get there, is a very rare soul indeed. I deem as verily myself, for steadfast in mind, he is established in me alone as a supreme goal. Now, there's a concept of how you describe the stages of becoming or getting closer to the goal. there are 4 stages how you start experiencing the sense of enjoyment of getting closer to the ideal. Now, the 4 stages are, the first stage is known as Salokya. Salokya, S-A-L-O-K-Y-A, Salokya. Salokya means you are inhibiting in the same vicinity, same territory, the same world. Now, the best way to understand this is, let's say you are separated with your family. Your family has got stuck abroad and you've not seen them for the past year or two. And let's say your son is visiting from other part of the world, is coming to you. So the first stage, Salokya, you are there in the airport to receive him. The person could be coming at 2 o'clock in the morning. That is nothing to you. You will go to receive your child because you want to receive your child. You have that love and affection. The separation has caused the pain. So the union brings about joy. So you are there at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1:30. And once first you go to the airport, you will see the arrivals. What is the schedule? And when you see that signage on schedule, everything is as planned. So that gives so much joy. There's no delay. There's a long flight. And the good news comes when that on schedule changes to landed. My child, my dear, my love, my heart has landed. That stage is Salokya. Your son is inhabiting in the same place. He was away in a different land. Now he has landed. He's in the same place. And then comes Samipya. The object comes closer to you. So your son, the next half an hour, 45 minutes, he has disembarked, he's gone through the process of immigration, he has picked up his baggage, and you have the first sight of your child. You're standing there in the front and you see him walking with his baggage towards you, Samipya. The third stage is Sarupya, S-A-R-U-P-Y-A. Sarupya is the same object, the same form here is your son, getting more nearer to you, more closer to you. So it's just, you just see him a few feet away. And then Sayujya is you merge. There is the tight embrace, that hug and love you express, you kiss your child, and then there's so much of happiness, tears of joy. That is Sayujya, your embrace. It is the merger of the individuality with the self. So you got to visualize the 4 stages. The 4 stages are Salokya, I'm just repeating it, Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, and Sayujya. So these 4 stages, you got to visualize. Now my question to you all would have got lost in the story. Now my question to you is, when would you fall into this category of Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, and Sayujya? When would you fall into this category? As I've said, these are the 4 stages of enjoyment. You can only answer it if you have been attentively hearing what I've said from the beginning of the class, which is just a few minutes I have spoken. Vasantama, have you been there from the very beginning?
Yes, Hari Om Guruji. Yes, Guruji.
You've been there. Good. Hari Om. Now, can you tell me?
Maybe Salukya is the stage when we just conceptualize, think that we should go into this right path of when we get that idea.
But can I ask you to repeat the question?
How would you connect what you have, that example what you gave of the sun from another land coming to closer to you and embracing you? How would you connect those four, Salukya, Samukya, Sarupya and Sayujya? Am I correct?
The four stages of enjoyment we are saying, right?
Stages of enjoyment.
When would one fit into this category in the spiritual field? What is it that would ensure that you would go through this stage of enjoyment, of getting closer to the self and becoming the self? So ideally, Sayujya means self-realization.
Yes.
Salokya is your very close to that experience. And then it's just a few steps away and then you become one with the self. So the question is, what is it that would determine that you go through this four stages of enjoyment in the spiritual realm?
When you are really start being in that field of devotion, and you have that committed, steadfast feeling to be with the self.
So what would ensure you experience these stages is when you have the qualities of single-pointed, steadfast, determined. Then you would go well and truly into the spiritual journey, get established and get closer to your destination, isn't it? Otherwise, your son has left, but he's far away. He's still in a land we don't know where he is. Or you get to know, oh, I have just landed in Taiwan, where he has got another 6 hour waiting period where he has to switch another aircraft. Oh, Taiwan, is it very far away? Another 6 hours. Oh my God, it looks like 10 years, 6 hours also. So you're not anywhere. Your son is nowhere near you. So it's still a long way to go. So in what takes us closer to the goal, the quality which we have to take from these set of verses is consistency of purpose. That capacity to have what we call as a tunnel vision, to have our blinkers on, to have only one purpose, that will take us to the goal.
Yes.
Isn't it? So it is so, this is just beautifully explains when you have that, where would you reach? So these four is just a mention of what is that stage by stage you get closer to the object of your goal or the object of enjoyment. It's like, you know, you're very, very hungry and you have reached a restaurant and very, very crowded. You go there, waiting period, your number is 15. Yo, this is the restaurant I like. There's no other near place, but then it's too crowded. The seating is full. Your wait list at 15. I said, okay, chalo, let's wait. So waiting list, reaching the restaurant is Salokya. And then getting a table is Samipya. Then the waiter comes and you place an order, and every time there's a food that passes by, is it for me? No. The dosa, I thought it's for me. No, it may be that table, it's gone there. It's not there for you yet. And then you see your waiter who took your order, he is coming with that place and it looks familiar. Those are the dish we ordered. He's walking from that other corner of the restaurant to your table. And then it's on the table, then no need to mention what happens. You become a Rakshasa. You hog and hog and hog. So it's just that kind of experience where the becoming, he says, I deem as verily myself. You become the goal. Right, ma? Yes. In fact, if we are able to envision the journey which a river is formed, how a river takes a form, it forms somewhere in the mountains with a trickle here, with a trickle there, with a drop here, a drop there, and all those trickles and drops form small rivulets and small streams, and those rivulets and streams collect and form a larger stream. And as those streams flow down the mountain into the valley, it becomes a torrential flow of water, the mighty river. And when you see it and at the foothills of the mountains, it has a torrential flow. But after it has traveled 100-odd kilometers from its origin, it loses its power, it loses its potency, it loses its vitality. But still that stream continues to flow. It has got another 100-odd kilometers to reach the destination, which is the ocean. And then there is this point of the ocean, the river meeting the ocean. That is often symbolized as the union of the individuality to the supreme reality, where the individuality loses its ego and becomes the there's a Hindi song also, no? Who is the where? Last time we had somebody singing this song for us. I think we'll ask Ramji to sing the song. We have heard a lot about your singing skills, so now we have to experience it, sir. The multi-talented Ramji.
No. I don't know, but I think it is this song that रेताल मिले नदी के जल में, नदी मिले सागर में, सागर मिले कौन से जल में, कोई जाने ना. That is the one, I think.
So you need any instrumentation? We can ask someone to add that. Correct, So it is that song which tells the journey, isn't it? So, but you sang it like half song and half poetry, sir. We want prose and poetry was mixed in that. We want full music, please.
I don't know all the lyrics, so it's difficult.
Okay, next time we'll give you a little heads up notice. Okay, right, sir. Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Right, thank you. Right. We'll move on. Verse 19, please. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti Samahatma sudurlabha. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. One of the very, very famous verse, oft misunderstood verse, but here he says, Bahunam, many births, ante, janmanamante, at the end of many births, jnanavan mam. Jnanavan is the man of wisdom. Ramji, you were asking some word yesterday, that Jnanavan, the man of wisdom, Jnanam is Vairagyam, not Vairagyam, Vijnanam, sorry. Vijnanam is wisdom. Jnanavan is the man of wisdom. The wise man reaches me, realizing that all is Vasudeva. Vasudeva means the reality. And then says, Samahatma Sudurlabha. Sa Mahatma, such a great soul. Sudurlabha, very difficult to find. So you got to be very blessed to find yourself in a company amidst a man who has attained that state of self-realization. It's an impossible, almost impossible. So when I say this, I'm reminded of what Ramatirtha says, the great Ramatirtha. In his works he wrote, he never wrote as such, he lectured. And in his lectures he used to say, I wish Christ put a little more effort, he would have attained realization. Look at the stance, the strength, the conviction with which he spoke in public, not in private. In public lecture, he used to say this. If only the great Jesus Christ put a little more effort, he would have attained realization. Having come so far, he got stuck at partial realization. Wait for the next Upanishad class. I'm going to explain the intrinsic and extrinsic illusion. And that's where we talk about when you're caught up in the extrinsic illusion, when you've crossed the extrinsic illusion, you reach a state of partial realization. When you cross the intrinsic illusion, you attain total realization. Savikalpa samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. Partial realization, total realization. If the great Christ himself got stuck, if we have any faith in what the great Ramatirtha said, if he himself got stuck at partial realization, half the humanity is following Christianity today. And that Guru himself has not attained moksha. Therefore, this word can be magnified multifold. To find a man who has attained realization is very, very difficult indeed. Sudurlabha. So it is such a treacherous, such a long, such a path which demands every ounce of your dedication and energy, where you have no other interest. Believe me, nothing else interests you except the goal of realization. And you have a very dynamic, very active life, and yet you have renounced everything else. You have no other interest but to get to the self. That thought itself is very, very difficult to digest. Very difficult. Now, as I've said, this verse is read very pessimistically. Many people read it in a negative sense. At the end of many births. Oh, okay. At the end of many births, na? Oh, many, as far as I am concerned, I think many, I can add another many also. A few, many births are there yet for me. So that end for me is a long way away. Well, I can relax. It is not for me. This verse I will skip. That is a very pessimistic attitude, isn't it? But what would be the optimistic attitude to the very same statement? The fact that I am reading this verse, the fact that I have access to his knowledge, the fact that it creates an opportunity for me to think of the higher. All those births have been behind me, and this is my last birth. This is the end. Therefore, I would not want to miss the opportunity which I have got. Enough has been done. I would not waste any further opportunity, any further time. That's the attitude. So don't miss this, what you have got. So what sounds pessimistic can actually be very optimistic. So at the end of many births, the man of wisdom reaches me. And reaches me. Once you reach that state, what do you say? Realizing that all is Vasudeva. Now the word Vasudeva, Vasu, the word Vasu has few meanings, few interpretations. Vasu means, it means seasons. Ilya, Gayatri ma? Vasu means season, Ilya. So Vasu also means the universe, and Vasu, the earth, universe or earth. Vasu also means the gods, the plural gods. Gods, gods and goddesses. Okay. And the word Deva means the illuminator, that which illumines the universe, that which illumines the gods. Therefore, Sanjay, if you put these two words, Vasu and Deva, I said Vasu is the universe, or you can say it is the seasons, or you can call it the gods, and Deva is the illuminator. So when you put these two words, and so what is Vasudeva?
Vasudeva would be, well, depends which order you put them in, I suppose. The one who illuminates that illuminates the one that illuminates the gods, or the gods that illumine the universe, or the gods that illumine. No.
Gods and the universe are synonymous here.
Ah.
That's why I said the word Vasu has a few meanings. So it could be interpreted as gods, as seasons, as earth, as a universe. Deva is the illuminator of Vasu. So Vasudeva is the illuminator of the gods, the illuminator of the universe, the illuminator of the world. And what would that be?
The self.
You don't have to think so hard.
Yeah.
Any way you don't understand it, is it? Just because you spent a few seconds, you think you understood that answer? I also would repeat that n number of times in my life until I attain realization. I also don't know. Do I know what it means? It doesn't know. Brahman, Atman, we may say very eloquently, but do you know who the Brahman, Atman is? Do you know what that self is? All we have faith is that there is that Almighty, there is an absolute reality. Right? So I was just joking there, huh? Because you're very serious. So Vasudeva means the substratum. It means the absolute reality. So we're just trying to get to the derivative of the word Vasudeva. So the word Vasudeva, the reality, is that which illumines the world. Now you'll understand the significance of these gods vis-a-vis the illuminated the god. The gods is different to the God. That gets highlighted, in fact, from the next verse itself. 20, 21 onwards, you get the distinct clarity. But do you know the difference between the God and the gods?
I'm not sure of the context of that question.
When we use the word gods in plural, which is the gods and the goddesses, vis-a-vis when you use the word God as a singular, you understand the context. And often they only convey one thing. So it doesn't matter the context. It's
Okay.
irrespective of the context. I mean, when we use the word gods, it implies something. The word God implies something.
To me, then, the way that I see that is when we say gods, we're talking about the gods externally, outwardly. When we're talking about God, we're talking about God within the self. That would be my understanding.
Yes, that would be the right understanding, but there's a little more to it. A little more to it. Why we say the gods are external? What makes them external? Vis-a-vis what makes God internal?
The gods externally are the ones that we perceive with our sense with our sense objects.
It's the senses, you mean?
The senses.
Yeah, but then what do they symbolize? What do these gods symbolize? They have to convey something, isn't it? Why are there so many gods and goddesses in Hinduism? In other religions, it's not the case. Hinduism is the case where it is hundreds and thousands of gods and goddesses. Not only that, everything is divinized. Every aspect of your life, every stage of your life gets divinized. There's a ritual, there's a prayer, there's a Vedic chant, there's a sort of a divine intervention to that process. It could be a birth, it could be naming ceremony, it could be getting your head torn short, it could be a marriage. You know, every stage of it could be birth, it could be death, right? In fact, from birth to death, every stage of your life is a ritual. So there's a presence of a god or a goddess, which is what you meant as external, isn't it? Right. So let me get to it, but I think Sethuji wanted to say something. Thanks, Sanjay. Yes, sir. Hari Om, sir.
Gods means devas, elements, and their.
Sorry, sir. Could you come again, please?
Gods are devas, and elements, different earth, water, Agni, Vayu, Indra, all these are gods. And God is a manifestation of Brahman.
I think you mean gods. Gods are the manifestation of the unmanifest power, Brahman, which is God. Is that what you are saying? So Brahman is unmanifest, which is God. So the gods are the manifested powers in the world, in the Vasu.
External.
Vasu is the world, the external. Vasu is the world. So when I'm worshipping the wind god, where is the wind? Wind is around me. Where is sun? Sun is around me. Water, I'm worshipping the water. Like water becomes an integral element in any ritual, any yajna, any puja, anything you use water. So you're using the elements, as you rightly said. So what are we worshipping? We are worshipping
Manifested
What? Manifestations
of the unmanifested.
of the unmanifested. So when you choose the manifestations, what do they become? The manifestations are symbols of the unmanifest reality. Symbols, that's all.
Yeah.
Now, when we say a symbol, it's like an emblem, isn't it? An emblem symbolizes something. A badge symbolizes something. A flag symbolizes something. Like sportsmen, when they tie a black ribbon around their forearm, sorry, their arm, they tie a band, symbolizes their respect for someone who is.
Jnani transcends from that. We have to transcend later anyway from.
A Jnani is one who has reached Vasudeva, isn't it? But the way he puts it is beautiful. Vasudeva is the reality. Now, what we are trying to get is, see, if you get to the 16th verse, the topic he says is, remember the topic. The topic is from 16 to 19. He's talking of the 4 virtuous types of people who worship God. Okay. And from 20 onwards, he's talking of those, the deluded people seek and gain finite fruit, he says. And from the 20th verse onwards, he talks of the gods. 20th to 25, he's talking of those who seek gods and he calls them the deluded fellows. very, you will be, I said, yo, what have I been doing? Where am I? Where am I? You know?
Deluded because they are extrovert. They are not.
I don't know whether he calls them as extrovert, but he says you are not seeking God. Therefore, you're deluded. You're still caught up in the world.
And thinking symbol itself as a God.
And you take the symbol itself as the God. So the idol represents the ideal. Such a powerful concept and such a powerful statement. Idol symbolizes, represents the ideal. IDOL represents IDEAL. IDEAL is the goal. IDOL is the symbol. Idol is not the ideal. So if someone has got stuck to the idol, approaches the idol, he calls them deluded. Very, very powerful, these verses. Very powerful. The problem is, many a time when we are not ready for it, we'll choose what we want. It's like a spiritual buffet. No? In a buffet, what would you do? Oh, I don't like that. I don't take it. You'll ask, what more is there so that I can get what I want? You're not interested in what is, you don't want to take what is given. So even now you are applying that spiritual buffet. Thanks, Situji. And now, Shama, correct? UK? Spiritual buffet going on, huh?
And many times,
Namaskaram answer padungo. Spiritual buffet illiya?
Yes, Guruji, and we may not be those who cannot understand even whatever is being told also. They may stay with whatever they have understood. They are happy with it.
That is their inability to relate to, which respect that.
Exactly.
Somebody can't
Yes,
relate
yes.
to it, we respect it. But to choose what you think is right and holding on to that rigidity.
That is, yeah, that's wrong, Guruji.
Hmm?
Yes.
We're all holding on to idols. Symbols, some symbol.
Yes, yes.
So the Shastras are very critical. You see, they don't compromise anything other than the self. Nothing other than that. Okay, thanks, Ma. Yeah, Hariji.
Hariam.
Hariam, sir.
Can we say gods are within the limits of time, space, and causation, and God is beyond time, space, and causation?
What is time, space, and causation?
With certain limits, like what we have learned in our when Vayu and fire, when they went and fire could not, some limitation could be shown, even to the extent of Indra. The apparition, they disappeared. You have taught us the story in the Upanishad. So they are within the.
Yeah, in fact, time, space, and causation is another definition for the world. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Now you replace the word time, space, and causation with the world and repeat the question.
My question is, are the gods which we mention, are they with limitations?
Are they limited to time, space, and causation?
Yeah, within.
I said within. So you replace the word time, space, causation with the world, because time, space, and causation is nothing but the description of the world. It is the world.
Yeah, so the gods
gods are limited to the world. God is beyond the world. Correct. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
Right. Sanjay, where are you lost, Sanjay?
Sorry, Guru, I don't feel lost. Something just connected with me.
I know. Something is missing. Some connection is lost.
No.
Where is it? What is it that you are?
Oh, no, it's not. No, something doesn't seem lost. Something seems found. So I feel like that something I've learned is we have the idea, we keep speaking about Ishvara and Brahma. So now I'm starting to understand the gods that we see are the ones that we have created with our faculties, but that is different to the singular, supreme, ultimate Brahman.
Correct.
It's
Ishvara, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. These are symbols of the three main manifested powers of Brahman, which is the world, the manifested powers in the world. What are the three main manifested powers in the world? Creation and destruction, which sustain life. So we are only worshipping the three powers of creation. Brahma, Ishvara is destruction. This sustains life, which is Lord Vishnu. So when there is creation and destruction happening around us, we have to understand it's all divine play. We don't understand. We accept it gracefully. You get it? But to say Ishvara is the reality is not right. To say Brahma is Brahman is not right. If to say Vishnu is Brahman is not right. These are symbols. To say Indra is the Lord of gods is Brahman is not right. So to say Ganesha is Brahman is not right. If to say Subramanya is Brahman is not right. If to say Goddess Lakshmi is Brahman, not right. So these are all gods and goddesses which have been introduced to facilitate our journey to reach the higher. In fact, to be very precise, the birth of these gods and goddesses has happened how? It is the ingenious thought of the great rishis of the Vedic era. What they have done, see, the fundamental principle of spiritual effort is to take the mind off the world and pull to the higher, isn't it? But they realized that the mind is so stubborn, it's so caught up in the worldly pursuits and desires that it can't be pulled away. So what they did, they studied wherever your mind went, and wherever your mind went, they planted an idol. If you're, Harishji, Sanjay, please hold, don't mute yourself. Harishji, where is your mind going now? Yeah, there's only one Harishji in this classroom. No, we can't. You again muted yourself.
I'm sorry, I was muted and talking. No, I'm with whatever you're saying. In the sense, I understand what you're saying.
Now, where is your mind is the question.
I mean, what you were saying is something which is quite, I don't know the right word to use.
Very basic, huh?
No, I won't say. That's why I said I don't know the right word.
I'm guessing. Or very shallow, or very, I don't know how would you describe it?
No, I don't want to. No, what I meant was also that all these idols, etc., these stages, these are all stages in the evolution. Like you said, towards realization. You know, these are all the stages, like where you need, at various stages, you need these props or these idols or these symbols, because you cannot visualize or conceptualize an abstract quantity or an abstract being. So these are all the process of evolution, the way I look at it. And
Correct.
and
But
that
as
is
a-
why most other religions, whether it is Christianity, even the great Christ, or Islam, the prophet, they're known as the prophet or the messenger of God. They're not known as God. The God is still Allah, or the God is still something other than Christ. So it's, I think, similar. That
Yes, the idea is very,
messenger
very
of
similar.
God.
Yes, it's very profound. But since you say this, that all these props come at the right stage to help you evolve. It's like you give a prop to your, let's say, a young child started crawling, and you give them a walker, do you? Don't we give them a walker to walk? That's a prop which helps them to get those limbs, gain that strength, and experience that the thrill of getting around, not just with your 4 limbs, but your 2 legs. But you need a prop, you give them a walker. But how long would you give them a walker? As long as they don't have the strength and you take it away. The mother knows it. I don't think the child needs the walker anymore. Doesn't mind the child falls once or twice, but you take away the walker because the child can now be self-sufficient. It knows to walk on its own without the help of the prop. That is the job of a spiritual guru. That is the job of the Shastras. Exactly, to take away the prop when it's not needed. But the problem is people are holding on to these props even when you're hale and healthy. Imagine you and I using that walkers and walking around. It'll be a joke of the town. As absurd as it sounds, this is what the concern of the Shastras, of the Gurus, of these men of wisdom, that you are not growing out of where you are, you're just stuck to those props. And the Gurus out there not doing any good, they're just encashing the ignorance and just getting you more and more stuck to these forms and idols and this various aspects of these idols. We're not holding in lighter vein at all, but this you have to step up. Please, where do you step up? You can't be in your spiritual kindergarten all your life. You can't be made to put there. That is wrong. Yes, Ji, something else to say?
Yes, Guruji, your beautiful example of the pole vaulter's pole.
Pole vaulter, yes, absolutely.
You can only achieve when you cast away the pole.
Cast away the bar, the pole, correct. So there's something very profound, Sanjay, the concept of how to use the prop and when to get rid of the prop. And that's what example Harish is talking of, the pole vaulter who uses the pole to cross the bar, but he gets rid of the pole. That's that, you know, the dexterity with which you apply yourself with the various aspects in the spiritual field. Okay, so it's further going to be expanded, so you'll get what it is that we are saying. But in this verse, it's very clear. He says that at the end of many births, this man of wisdom, which he's talking of a jnani, reaches that state of reality, and such a soul is very difficult to find. Which means hardly a rare soul, one in a generation, perhaps attains realization. One in a generation attains realization. How would you read that statement pessimistically, Padmanima? And the same statement, how would you read optimistically?
Yeah, I can think that there are so more lives to come, and I can wait till I become saturated for that. Or I can think that I have already gone through many lives, and let this be the final life in which I can.
What is that statement I was wanting you to clarify? What's the statement? I just said. Rajima, what was the statement?
How would you look at this, that I have lived many lives, many births?
One in a generation.
One in a generation.
Attains that state of enlightenment is a statement. Now, my question is, how would a pessimist read that statement? One in a generation attains enlightenment. Padmanima.
Yeah, then a pessimist can think that the probability is very, very low, because
for whom?
Only one in a generation can.
For whom it's low?
For a pessimist.
Pessimist, but for whom? Are you a spokesperson? Is Padmini the spokesperson, or is Padmanima talking for herself?
Okay, if I talk for myself.
I'm only interested in Padminima's views for herself, not as a spokesperson.
I still feel that I have more lives to come. I know where I stand. Because whatever in fact, to be very honest, I know that my direction has changed. That I am experiencing at every stage, though spontaneously something comes to me, in a split second I can deviate my mind, and sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But I think I can. So the probability as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it is 100%. Though I really want to. Because when you throw a coin, probability of getting head or tail is only half. So like that. Though I want it to be one, then both sides should be the head or tail. Otherwise, it can only be half.
No, to that I have no argument.
Stage.
To that I can't give an argument. But I was only trying to rephrase that statement which the verse says. You know, such a soul is very difficult to find. And he says, at the end of many births, the man of wisdom reaches the goal of realization. So if we say one in a generation is enlightened, the pessimistic thing is, oh, I have a long way to go. I know for certain it's not me. That's a pessimistic thing. So you may be far away, but to think that it's not me or dismissing away, you're missing away that opportunity. But optimistic thing is, that would be me.
Oh.
Therefore, it would require me to put in that dedicated effort, because I've already gone through that journey. As I've said, I've already gone through the many births and I've reached this juncture where I have got access to this wisdom. All I need to do is step up my efforts, bring in that shraddha, bring in that dedication, that eka bhakti, that steadfastness, and I will be that who will reach that goal. It's just that thinking makes who you are. What are the thoughts that you entertain? I'm only saying that statement can be interpreted negatively or positively. It's a neutral statement, but it can be read pessimistically. It can be read optimistically. If you say pessimistically, you will give up even before trying. But if you take it optimistically, you will create an opportunity and say it is me, and you will strive to create opportunities. You know, I'm reminded in the famous play, Julius Caesar, Brutus utters this famous words when he takes the lupercal and addresses the mob. And he says, it must be by his death. He utters this word and he leaves it an open statement. And in philosophy, when you study philosophy, you expect to write a long thesis, you write a long summary on giving reasons. What is that it? It must be by his death. Obviously, the death was of Caesar. Now, whether Brutus was genuinely interested in the good of Rome, or was it for the good of Brutus? That word it has to be explained. So was Brutus an honorable man, or was Brutus having a hidden agenda? So it's an open statement. Like that, this is an open statement. You can see it optimistically, you can see it pessimistically. It's up to you. All right, ma. Okay. Right, let's move on. We'll take up verse 20. Kamaistaistaihrita-jnanaha prapadyante nyadevataha tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyatah swaya. Kamaistaistaihrita-jnanaha prapadyante nyadevataha tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyatah swaya. As I've said, 20 to 25, he talks of the deluded who seek and gain finite fruit. That's the topic. 20 to 25, this set of verses. Now here he says, those deprived of wisdom, understood, you are not the wise type. Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods. Kamaihi. Through various desires. Kamaha is desire. You approach other gods. Anya devata. See, this is not that I'm infusing some meanings into the words. These are the words of the text. Anya devaha, other gods. Kritajnanaha, are deprived of wisdom. They approach Anya deva through their desires, led by corresponding rites, led by their own prakritya niyata swaya, their own nature. They're helplessly driven by their own nature of their desires to go and seek these gods because they are deprived of wisdom. So the wise seek the self, which is the God. The unwise or the ignorant people, they are approaching the gods. And which god they approach? Which god do they approach? Sashikanji, which god they approach? What determines?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskar, sir.
Different people, I mean, the level of, what you taught us earlier, like from a sixth stage to the sixth stage like that. So certain people do have a thought of, their own, and they may not be able to, maybe reach the goal that, but really, they are behind the idol, what actually you told some time back. So they have a nature. They are only destined to reach that stage, right?
No, we can't say destined to reach such state, but it is their nature. They have a choice. You have a choice. I have a choice. But they choose to approach certain God. My question is, what is it that determines which God they approach?
The way that they think and the level that they have a reach only up to that. That's what actually my understanding. Because even though it is a choice, they have a desire to say that okay, this is. Because of that, the evolution is not exactly taking place in their life.
Correct. They approach the particular God based on their corresponding desires.
Desire, yes.
Isn't it? And why do they entertain those desires? It is their prakritya. It is their nature. They're helpless. And it is their nature that makes them helpless. And that is because they also lack the wisdom, deprived of wisdom. So if you have split the verse itself, you get the meaning, sir. I'm only facilitating that process. You just split that, you will get that, what the verse is conveying.
Great.
Right. Now, I don't know, there's no, don't misread or mistake. I'm just trying to mention what is there and you see it happening. Many people go to the Balaji temple in Chilkur, which has got the reputation of it called as the Visa Balaji. Vasantama, you know, isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
Why is it called Visa Balaji?
It's believed that if you do pradarshanam for 108 times, your visa will be approved to US.
So how shallow is that thought, isn't it?
Very shallow.
In the grandeur of this, knowledge of what the Shastras are talking, it just feels so shallow. So you are going to the God only to satisfy and fulfill an impending desire.
Selfish.
So it has to be selfish now. Mockery of prayer, mockery of worship.
Bargaining, what you were always telling.
Bargaining, false spiritual.
Guruji, after attending your classes only, we have also realized what we were doing earlier.
But the knowledge comes out so hard. It's so clear. And if that's being communicated to a large extent, I'm doing my job. Because it's not easy to convey the spirit or the gist of what these verses are saying. It's not mere words. It can't be empty words. You've got to relate to it. Now, this is one which strikes to me, Visa Balaji. Do you know of other places which have gained prominence, where people go to seek something? For example, you want progeny, you go to a particular temple, a particular ritual is performed, a particular acts are done, isn't it?
Yes.
Like that, any other?
Yes, for progeny, there is one in South Tamil Nadu.
I've heard of that. Engade?
Garbharakshambika.
Where is it?
Place I don't.
Near Kumbakonam.
Okay.
Kumbakonam.
Oh, okay. There you go. There, Kumbakonam. Right.
And even Tirupati, they put so much of money into the undi, praying that they should achieve something.
Correct.
They promise to tonsure their head there.
I think it would be a long list. But the way he puts it, you are going, he doesn't spare a word. He says you are going to approaching these gods because of your desires. You perform corresponding rites, and that is because of your own nature. He has crucified you by that statement. I can't think of anything more powerful than this mantra. Kamaistai hritajnana padhyante anya devata. I think if you get this into your system, next time you are entering a prayer room, it should come to your mind and it should reverberate and revolutionize your thought process of approaching a prayer. While a prayer is meant to
gratitude, show your gratitude.
Show your gratitude, where you go and ask for it. Right. Thank you, Ma. Sanjay, what is that temple you're talking?
So it's actually a Swaminarayan temple, but there's a Hanuman Murti, and loads of people go to this temple because it's famed that the what do you call it? The pujari, he will do an exorcism through that Murti of Hanuman. That's what it's known for, and people just visit it for that purpose.
What does exorcism mean?
exorcism.
Exorcism. What does it mean? My English is not that good, you know.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. There must be a an Indian word there, but it's.
Oh, you can talk English word only, no problem.
Okay,
British
so the
English I'll
exorcism.
manage.
Okay, so it's as if they're trying to, that pujari will communicate through that through that person no longer in the body, and to withdraw a message from that person to the person that's requesting. So it's almost like the pujari will create a narrative for that dead person. They'll create a voice for that dead person. It's it's a very odd phenomenon, but people subscribe to it.
Where does it happen?
At the Sarangpur within the Sarangpur temple.
Where is Sarangpur?
Bihar.
Bihar. Okay. All right. It's all new learnings. Sorry, Sitaramji?
No, I had a couple of things. In fact, you mentioned about you go to certain gods for certain gifts. Say, so there is this famous temple in Nepal, Kathmandu. So there they have this huge statue of Veerbhadreshwara, and it is there you go and seek progeny, and apparently. The other thing that you mentioned earlier about the Chilkur Balaji, I know of a person, I mean, out of many, who extremely well read, I mean, reads scriptures regularly, understands them. Yet when his son's visa did not come, his faith shook. He came all the way from Chennai to Balaji, prayed a lot, did all the rules away, and as luck would have it, the visa came. So it reaffirmed his faith in the Chilkur Balaji, despite the fact that he knows it's not supposed to be true. So both exist. So one can't say.
This is where I'll bring in what Padminima said, tossing the coin. you go to a soothsayer, it's a 50% guaranteed business.
Yeah.
You go to a soothsayer and say, I want to know I'm going to have a boy or a girl. 100% you're going to have a boy. 50% market will come back to him, because fellows who believed that the 50 either you have a boy or a girl, so the girl fellow will say that fellow is a fake, boy fellow will come back to him. His business 50% successful business. I have no success in teaching this knowledge for 30 years. That fellow sitting on a footpath, he will make enough business. He'll have enough following, because that toss coin, Padminima, I'll also start tossing coins from now on, ma. And I'm for wasting time teaching this Gita, Upanishads, all these things is taking too much of my time. My life is, consumed with this only. I want to switch. What do you suggest, Padminima? We'll start tossing coins. 50% chance success rate.
That is what probability theory tells you.
That's what, 50% chance. The success rate here is very poor. All right. Yeah, Sitaramji, you wanted to ask something?
No, that was what I wanted to just share.
Right. Okay. Right. Jama is asking why then various yajnas are prescribed in the Yajurveda for various desires. And this is a part of the Karma Kanda, the ritualistic portion of the Shastras, which the Vedas themselves denounce, the Upanishads themselves denounce. And here we are talking, Gita is an explanatory textbook of the Upanishads. You must understand the Bhagavad Gita explains one aphorism, Tat Tvam Asi. So the Gita explains the declarations of the Upanishads. And the Upanishads denounce the Karma Kanda, which is also a part of the Vedas themselves. So the higher Anga of the Vedas denounce the lower Anga of the Vedas, saying this is superior, which is what we are holding on to. We are holding on to the higher aspect of the Shastras. All right. Anupurnama, you are saying something? No, I'm not commenting to the last one. You had commented something earlier.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskar.
No, I'm saying we will not allow you to be, I mean, you're not already. Yes, yes. And anyway, you're already on the 50% side because we are all your messengers, Guruji.
No, so sweet, so sweet. No. Thank you. Really appreciate. But you had commented something a little while earlier. What was that you were saying there?
I mean, I was telling about another temple, like it's called Pratyangira temple, which is near Tanjore. To ward off evils and enemies, they do some homam and all there. Only that.
Right. Okay. Now, also you should tell us what network you have got, because your audio and video is super class, not even first class, super class.
Actually, I
know.
moved from iPad to my mobile, Guruji.
Okay, that is nice. No, your voice and your audio is very, very clear, because you had issues earlier. I'm glad it sorted out. Thank you, ma. Thank you. Now, what we only want to conclude, we should not be misunderstood, nor should we be holding it in light vein, but only to give us enough clarity that you should not fall a prey to your own selfish desires. That is not the spiritual path, and don't approach spirituality with an intention to fulfill your desires. That is not the objective. You can approach these gods and goddesses to express your utmost felt gratitude, because you still need some kind of a form to attune to the formless reality. You may hold on to these forms of worship, but it's how you approach is what that is being criticized, not the approach itself. How you approach is what is being highlighted. Okay. He'll continue this thought in the next few verses, so we will come back and continue. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.